What's going on, guys? It's your boy Junkyardboy here with another YouTube video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can aim better. Here are some settings that are outside of Overwatch that you can change in your NVIDIA Control Panel, as well as in your Windows settings that can definitely take your game to the next level. Starting off with NVIDIA Control Panel, keep in mind if you have an AMD graphics card, you're going to want to skip this part. You want to skip the first half of this video where I'll talk about just the mouse acceleration fix. This will be only for those of you who have an NVIDIA graphics card. Now to start things off, to get to the NVIDIA Control Panel, you can right click anywhere on your desktop, assuming you have a Windows computer, and you'll see somewhere where it says NVIDIA Control Panel. You click that, it will open up this screen. Going to full screen. By default, it is set to let 3D application side. You are going to want to select use the advanced 3D image setting. Click take me there. Here's my settings. I'm going to recommend that you use my settings. If you've never changed any of these settings, stick to my settings. If you've changed around with some of these settings, then maybe don't copy all the settings, but definitely pay attention to all of these. A lot of these is my personal preference, and I'm just going to go through this real quickly here. So ambient occlusion, probably mispronounced that. That's off. Anisotropic filtering off. Aliasing off. Anti-aliasing gamma correction on. I found that I can aim better. Anti-aliasing mode off. Video GPU all. Some people may not have that option. DSR factor off. Max pre-rendered frames. This one's important. Max pre-rendered frames. You want that set to use 3D application setting. You want that moved to 1 to lower your input lag. It will also use up more PC resources. You might get dropped frames. You might lose. If you're already having issues with frames, you may not necessarily want to use 1. But if you have a fast computer, you're going to want to have it set to 1. This is how you're going to lower your input lag. It will take up more resources, but it is highly, highly recommended. This is one of the most important settings that you're going to want to have changed. Monitor technology, this only applies, it's not important. I have a G-Sync monitor, and you can just change it here. This is irrelevant. Multi-frame sample AA, you want that set to off. OpenGL rendering GPU, auto. I found it really didn't change my game that much. Power management mode, prefer max performance. By default, it's optimal. You want max. Preferred refresh rate, I have that set to highest available. Shader cache on, texture filtering on. Shader cache is by default is on, so that's fine. Texture filtering by default is off. Turning it on gives you like more performance. Negative load bias, default. I never really messed around with that setting. I've tried, it really doesn't impact my aim a whole lot, but I prefer it on allow. Texture filtering quality, by default it's quality. I aim better when it's on high performance, so I highly recommend trying it. Go to high performance, you'll get more out of your card. Texture filtering, try linear optimization. By default it's on, and I prefer it on. For optimization, by default it's auto. I prefer this on. Triple buffering off, vertical sync off, virtual reality pre-rendered frames set to 1. By default it's 1. And I found that these settings have worked absolute best for me. So for configure surround and physics settings here, we're just going to hit no here because I was messing around with some of those settings here. So for configure surround and physics settings, there's only 3 options: auto, GTX 1080 Ti, which is my graphics card, or CPU. I believe by default it's set to auto. You're going to want to have that changed to CPU, or at least I would recommend trying it if you've never tried it. I personally found that I get lower input lag. It could be placebo, but I prefer it on CPU. So that's what I have mine set to. And the last setting that you want to have changed here in your NVIDIA settings is adjust desktop size and position. All you want to do is select no scaling. You're going to want to select display, and you're going to want to select override the scaling mode set by games and programs. If this is important only if you're using 1080p, like 1920 by 1080p. If you use a different resolution by 1600 by 900, it's not going to use the full monitor screen resolution. But if you use 1080p, I highly recommend like 1920 by 1080, which most people do. You want it set to no scaling, you want this set to display, and you want this set to override the scaling mode set by games and programs. This will lower your input lag. That sums up my NVIDIA changes. I hope that you actually try and experiment with this and see if it actually helps you aim better, land more headshots, and play better on Widowmaker. On top of that, here's another change that you're going to want to look at doing. It's it's called a Windows mouse acceleration fix. It was made by a guy who was called Mark C. The fix is called Mark C. This came out in 2010, so this is almost 10 years old. It is one of the best kept secrets in the first-person shooter community. This thing, I can't even tell you how many times this has been downloaded, but everybody that I know from every single first-person shooter game, whether it's been CSGO or Unreal Tournament or Quake, they know about this and they use this, and it's highly recommended if you're looking to take your game to the next level. You just download this file. I'm just going to walk you through how to install it. It's super simple. If you have Windows 7, you open the Windows 7 fixes folder and you open up. You want to select the first file where it says Windows mouse fix text size DPI 100% scale 1:1, and you double click it and you just hit yes and yes, and it'll basically change the registry file, and all you got to do is restart your computer and bang, you're done. It's installed. Or Windows 10, if you have Windows 10, you want to select this one, which is also 100% scaling, assuming you haven't messed around with your DPI, like basically 125%. Like if you change the font size on your Windows to be larger, which is like a specific setting in Windows, which most people don't, you pretty much almost always want it set to this one. So you just double click it, install it, and once it's installed, restart your computer. And what you'll notice once you're done, and once you get into the game and start shooting, you start playing around in practice range, you may notice that your aim is a bit slower. That's totally okay. It's probably because you're used to aiming with a little bit of the Windows acceleration. When you remove acceleration, your aim will be way more consistent, and it'll also be you'll find that you'll be able to land more shots. It's one of the best kept secrets. This is not a new fix. It's not a new trick. Like this is a very, 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 very old thing that has been around for a long time, and a lot of people use this fix. And I'd be willing to bet every single Overwatch League pro is using this Mark C mouse fix. Now, if you don't like it, it comes with the default file. So for whatever reason you install this and you're like, oh shoot, like my aim sucks, I don't like it, like, and I want to go back, it comes with the default files where you can go back and you can just install the default file actually and go back to where it is. So and same thing for Windows 8, it's got a default file, so you can always go back to what worked for you best. That concludes my my YouTube video. I really do hope that you guys try this. Let me know if this works for you in the comment sections below. I really want to know if this worked out for you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as well as share it with your friends, as I will be making a lot more YouTube videos to come in the very near future. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.